Welcome to part 1B of my Luke Skywalker Character Analysis. If you haven't seen part 1A yet, then I highly encourage you to do so. I'll throw up the title card and place a link in the description to them. In today's video, I'll continue my case for Luke Skywalker as the greatest Star Wars character, looking at his role in Episode 4. So without further ado, let's get into it. And now Luke would enter the first stage of the extraordinary world, the stage of tests, allies, and enemies. It's here that the hero learns the rules of the new world and endures tests, meets friends, and comes face to face with enemies.
Mos Eisley Spaceport. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
Here, their adventure begins to take off, as Mos Eisley would introduce Luke to the dangers of the outside world.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
He can go about his business.
You can go about your business.
Move along.
Move along.
This would be the first of many tests that the team would encounter. Obi-Wan takes the lead and gets them out of this one, but Luke would use what he learned here to get through future challenges on his own. Also, this is Luke's first example of the Force in action, showcasing what benefits the Force has on the world around us, not only in the physical sense, but mental as well.
I can't understand how we got by those troops. I thought we were dead.
The Force can have a strong influence on the weak-minded.
Essentially, this is not a get-out-of-jail-free card in every scenario, but if you play your cards right, there will come a time when you can use this to your benefit too. It's important for Luke to see a skill as powerful as this be simply used for good, as Luke is still learning, so his way of dealing with conflict is very different from Obi-Wan, as he assumes that it could have only ended in violence.
Do you really think we're gonna find a pilot here that'll take us to Alderaan?
Most of the best freighter pilots are to be found here. Only watch your step. This place can be a little rough.
I'm ready for anything.
Luke has the right idea, as he has a more cavalier mindset and attitude, as where they're headed, anything goes. Upon entering the cantina, it's as though he was transported into an entirely new world, as Luke is introduced to many faces of people from all parts of the galaxy and different walks of life. It's here that he would quickly be tested in deciphering his allies from his enemies.
He doesn't like you.
I'm sorry.
I don't like you either. You just watch yourself. We're wanted men. I have the death sentence on 12 systems.
I'll be careful.
You'll be dead!
So Luke is again confronted by an enemy, but when this unwarranted adversity strikes, he remains calm under pressure and seeks out peace by avoiding conflict and not escalating things further.
This little one's not worth the effort. Come, let me get you something.
Unfortunately though, some people can't be bargained with, and Luke learns from Obi-Wan when to use your powers, as a means for defense rather than attack, emphasized by the fact that Obi-Wan tried to share drinks with the man by treating him as a friend first. This also juxtaposes the first enemy interaction with the stormtroopers, showing that not all conflicts can be settled through peace, but it should be attempted first. Having already been tested by a couple of enemies, what Luke and the team need now, more than ever, is a friend.
Han Solo. I'm captain of the Millennium Falcon. Chewie here tells me you're looking for passage to the Alderaan system.
Han in particular is someone that raises suspicion from being an ally or an enemy, as he's the ultimate gunslinger, going where the money and the best deal takes him. His clothes represent the ambiguity of his allegiance, as he has a mix between black and white colors, where either color thematically represents evil and good respectively. This compared to Luke, who's a clear hero, having his reservations about joining forces with someone like Han, someone who doesn't always share the same moral code that he does, setting the characters up as each other's foil.
Well, that's the real trick, isn't it? And it's going to cost you something extra. 10,000, all in advance.
10,000?
Luke also finds out that not all conflicts are physical, but can be verbal as well. Being young, Luke is naive to the game and the art of negotiation.
We can almost buy our own ship for that.
But who's going to fly it, kid? You?
You bet I could. I'm not such a bad pilot myself. We don't have to sit here and listen.
Luke is impatient and impulsive, so he's willing to just squander any possibility of doing business with Han as he feels disrespected by his offer. So Obi-Wan must teach him this, and simply puts an arm on his shoulder to calm him down. Obi-Wan then proceeds to continue business with Han by making him a counteroffer, showing that communication can be your greatest weapon in times of trouble, with Obi-Wan capitalizing on Han's clear weakness of greed to their benefit.
We can pay you 2,000 now, plus 15 when we reach Alderaan.
17, huh? Okay, you guys got yourselves a ship.
These different tests that Luke encounters are all important to his adventure, as they would introduce him to the new world, but more importantly, each of them teach him a lesson that he would need on his journey. From the stormtroopers, he learns to use the Force, a tool he would use to destroy the Death Star and save the rebellion. From Ponda Baba and Dr. Evazan, he learns that when peace fails, sometimes you have to fight your way through instead, which he would use when rescuing Leia in the detention center. From Han, he learns a thing or two about the art of negotiation, which would come in handy when trying to convince Han to help save the princess in the first place. All lessons he learns from seeing his mentor in Obi-Wan in action. And so, the newly assembled team would embark on their voyage to leave the desert planet.
What a piece of junk!
She'll make 0.5 past light speed. She may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts, kid. I've made a lot of special modifications myself. But we're a little rushed, so if you'll just get on board, we'll get out of here.
Luke truly is as bold as they come, as he openly criticizes the Falcon, only building more tension between him and Han. It also shows again that Luke is quick to judge a book by its cover, rather than looking within, as Han says, where it counts. And Luke's judgment would continue to be an ongoing theme throughout their escape, and would only put Han's patience to the test.
Why didn't you outrun him? I thought you said this thing was fast.
Watch your mouth, kid, or you're gonna find yourself floating home.
Luke truly is brave, as he continues to doubt the Falcon, and, by extension, Han.
Kitty at the rate they're gaining?
Traveling through hyperspace ain't like dusting crops, boy. Without precise calculations, we'd fly right through a star or bounce too close to a supernova and that'd end your trip real quick, wouldn't it?
Han emphasizes here the importance of patience and focus, as all Han wants is some space so he can do his job correctly, because one mistake can mean death. This is one of the foundations of being a leader that Luke would need to understand going forward, as trust can go a long way, because right now, Luke is hurting the team more than he's helping with all of his questions. Also, Han calls out Luke by bringing up the fact that he's a farmer, to highlight the idea that he's out of his element, so he should defer to the seasoned spice smuggler when escaping into deep space. Another small thing to note is how Han always calls Luke kid, boy, or a variation of it, to remind him of his youth both literally and in terms of his experience with the new world.
What's that flashing?
We're losing a deflector shield. Both strap yourselves in. I'm gonna make the jump to light speed.
After making the jump to lightspeed, Luke has a few moments to learn more about the Force, his final test before the approach. And here are possibly the most important lessons he'll take with him on his journey.
Remember, a Jedi can feel the Force flowing through him.
You mean it controls your actions?
Partially, but it also obeys your commands.
Obi-Wan reminds us of the importance of spirituality and the connection that we have with our own spirit. In this case, it's in the form of the Force, as it's part of us and can guide us along our path. However, at the end of the day, because it obeys our commands, your actions are still your own. So, it's Luke's choices that will shape him into the hero he wishes to be. While there are similarities to him and his father, this doesn't mean that he'll suffer his same fate. So the Force, if utilized properly, is simply a tool that's used to amplify one's decisions.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
You don't believe in the Force, do you?
Kid, I've flown from one side of this galaxy to the other. I've seen a lot of strange stuff, but I've never seen anything to make me believe there's one all-powerful force controlling everything. There's no mystical energy field controls my destiny. It's all a lot of simple tricks and nonsense.
Han's views directly challenge Luke's not only with the Force, but his outlook on life in general, as this interaction highlights the very difference between the idealist and the realist. Han is a much more grounded person when it comes to his view on life, and is more cynical with people and their desires based on his experiences, as his rougher upbringing has molded him into having a more pessimistic mindset. For Luke, he's the opposite. Having a more stable life and being a younger person allows him to more easily maintain a wide-eyed view of the world, and be more open to seeing the good in everyone, and believe in the possibility of the Force, overall looking at things more optimistically.
I suggest you try it again, Luke. This time, let go your conscious self and act on instinct.
With the blast shield down, I can't even see. How am I supposed to fight?
Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
Here, Obi-Wan gets Luke to separate his body from his mind by eliminating his ability to see. The eyes are typically what allow us to see the world we live in, but sometimes, as Obi-Wan says, they can deceive us. Two people can see the same thing and interpret it differently because we typically will still see what we want to see. By taking away his sight, this forces Luke to look inwards for answers. Then the world becomes clear, as he must trust himself and his instincts.
You see? You can do it.
I call it luck.
In my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
Look, good against remotes is one thing. Good against the living, that's something else.
Luke passes his first test of many in the Force. Han dismisses it as luck, but Obi-Wan thinks otherwise. A reminder that trusting in the Force, and therefore yourself, is a skill. So when success comes your way, it's the result of honing that skill, rather than just seeing it as a random coincidence. This being part of the reason that confidence is considered a key to success.
You know, I did feel something. I could almost see the remote.
That's good. You've taken your first step into a larger world.
Not only does Obi-Wan mean that Luke is taking his first steps in the Force, but of self-discovery and growth, things he will need in the natural cycle of master and apprentice if he's to grow and live beyond his mentor. And speaking of stepping into a larger world, this line would be appropriate as they would reach the stage of the approach, leading into this new world and the innermost cave. In the approach, the initial plan to take on the central conflict begins, but setbacks occur that cause the hero to try a new approach or adopt new ideas. Once out of hyperspace, the mission to bring the Death Star plans to the princess is in full effect. However, there is one major setback in the fact that their desired destination has been entirely destroyed. It's here that things take a turn, and the team must prepare to enter the belly of the beast in the Empire, represented through the Death Star.
What do you mean? Where is it?
So I'm trying to tell you, kid, it ain't there. It's been totally blown away.
What? How?
Destroyed by the Empire.
The entire Starfleet couldn't destroy the whole planet or take 1,000 ships with more firepower than I've...
The inconceivable happens, and Luke is in awe. Han and Obi-Wan have opposing theories, but as they get closer to the Death Star, they begin to see that the impossible may have just occurred. So, with this setback, they must approach things from a different angle.
Sure is leaving in a big hurry. If they identify us, we're in big trouble.
Not if I can help it. Chewie, jam its transmissions.
It would be as well to let it go. It's too far out of range.
Not for long.
Once again, Luke sees the opposing options represented through Han and Obi-Wan, where, in this case, they could be more impulsive and attack, or let it be. Luke seems to lean more towards Han's approach, as he too can be more impulsive, a trait that's typically cured through age and wisdom, which is why Obi-Wan suggests to not act in a way that could be reckless.
Look at him, he's heading for that small moon.
I think I can get him before he gets there. He's almost in range.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
It's too big to be a space station.
In this case, they're about to enter the belly of the beast, where they will face many tests in their journey to defeat the Empire.
There's a very bad feeling about this.
Also, Luke gets the honor of the first obligatory Star Wars line.
You're not gonna get me without a fight.
You can't win, but there are alternatives to fighting.
So they go with Obi-Wan's approach, and it allows them to survive just a bit longer. This being something that Luke would pick up from his mentor, where, without him, he may have just done as Han suggested and fought until the bitter end. Overall, this conflict allows Luke to see both options and weigh them out, and through Obi-Wan, he gets a better understanding as to why the alternative to fighting may be the better strategy. Once they enter the Death Star, they would enter the stage known as the Ordeal, death and rebirth. It's here that things go wrong and added conflict is introduced. The hero experiences more hurdles and obstacles, some of which may lead to a life crisis, and the primary obstacle would simply be getting off the Death Star in one piece.
This is ridiculous. Even if I could take off, I'd never get past the tractor beam.
Leave that to me.
Damn fool, I knew that you were gonna say that.
Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows it?
So, the team follows through with Obi-Wan's plan to sneak off the ship with the stormtrooper disguises. It's Luke's trust in Obi-Wan and his teachings that shines here, as Han directly questions and challenges it at every turn.
You know, between his howling and your blasting everything inside, it's a wonder the whole station doesn't know we're here.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
Up to this point, Obi-Wan has mostly dealt with Han directly. However, with him leaving them soon, Luke would have to step in and be the leader, having to manage around Han's rebellious temperament.
I don't think you boys can help. I must go alone.
And so the master would leave the apprentice, and Luke would begin to take on his tests of a hero without his mentor, using the tools he's given him to succeed.
I want to go with you.
Be patient, Luke. Stay and watch over the droids.
But he can...
They must be delivered safely, or other star systems will suffer the same fate as Alderaan. Your destiny lies along a different path from mine.
Similar to having to deal with the loss of his aunt and uncle, he must now part ways with Obi-Wan. Luke must stay strong and follow in Obi-Wan's footsteps if he's to lead them to safety. An idea that would be directly challenged by the many hurdles that would be presented to them during their time on the Death Star.
The Force will be with you. Always.
A reminder that not only the Force, but Obi-Wan will always be with him in spirit. Luke must hold on to the belief that Obi-Wan has in him and start believing in himself.
Where did you dig up that old fossil? Ben is a great man.
Yeah, great at getting us into trouble.
I didn't hear you give any ideas.
Well, anything's better than just hanging around waiting for him to pick us up.
Who do you think?
The tension between Luke and Han continues as the two argue over Obi-Wan. Luke is loyal until the end to Ben, but conversely, Han only trusts him as far as he can throw him. Han's comments of Ben being an old fossil also harken back to the idea that Obi-Wan is just a crazy old wizard or strange old hermit, where Luke is now able to look beyond the first impression. Now that Obi-Wan is gone from the team, the two must learn to simply work together.
Well, who? Who has he found?
Princess Leia.
The princess? She's here?
Princess?
Where? Where is she?
Princess, what's going on?
More conflict is added to Luke's path as he finds out that Leia is on board the Death Star. This, of course, piques his interest as he knows of their true mission, unlike Han, which, to be fair, has no idea what any of this means.
I'm afraid she's scheduled to be terminated.
We've got to do something. What are you talking about?
The droids belong to her. She's the one in the message. We gotta help her.
Now look, don't get any funny ideas. The old man wants us to wait right here.
He didn't know she was here.
Luke has a selfless moral code that he must abide by. Because of this, he can't sit idly by and wait for Leia to be killed, because he must always choose to do the right thing. This is mirrored by Han as he quickly chooses to opt to wait and do nothing, as it selfishly aligns with his personal interests.
I'm not going anywhere.
They're gonna execute her. Look, a few minutes ago you said you didn't want to just wait here to be captured. Now all you want to do is stay?
Marching into the detention area is not what I had in mind.
But they're gonna kill her!
Better her than me.
Luke calls him out on the irony of it all, but Han is as stubborn as ever. Luke mistakenly tries to reason with Han through things like morals, sympathy, and compassion, but realizes quickly that really isn't Han's MO.
She's rich.
Rich?
Rich, powerful. Listen, if you were to rescue her, the reward would be...
What?
well, more wealth than you can imagine.
I don't know. I can imagine quite a bit.
You'll get it.
I better.
You will.
It's in this moment Luke uses what he learned from his mentor and negotiates with Han in a language that he truly loves: money. Luke understands that he must adapt and adhere to Han's weakness of greed and selfish nature, as it's what's directly preventing him from helping the team. Once he aligns their goals with each other, then they can begin to cooperate, as the conflict in general will only bring them closer together. It's also funny how both Luke and Obi-Wan made seemingly empty promises to Han, as it seems Obi-Wan had no intention of paying the rest of the money that he owed, literally dying on him before paying up. And Luke has no actual idea if Leia has any money or would be willing to just give it, just highlighting how much Han's greed blinds him in decision making, as for all that he knows, he's helping them out for free.
Now, I'm gonna put these on you. Okay. You put those on.
Don't worry, Chewie. I think I know what he has in mind.
Luke has made strides in the relationship, but full trust is not there, as showcased in this scene. Something that would be mirrored in Return of the Jedi, as Chewie agrees to being cuffed in Luke's grand plan.
Master Luke, sir, pardon me for asking, but what should R2 and I do if we're discovered here?
Lock the door.
And hope they don't have blasters.
That isn't very reassuring.
It really isn't, and so they would venture off to the detention center, but not without any doubts along the way.
This is not gonna work.
Why didn't you say so before?
I did say so before.
And of course, the optimist is deaf to the realist's criticism until it's too late. But they would continue and initiate their plan by inciting chaos, something they seem to thrive under. This giving them a small victory that would buy them enough time to find their way to Leia's cell.
A little short for a stormtrooper.
Huh? Oh, the uniform.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
You're who?
I'm here to rescue you. I've got your R2 unit. I'm here with Ben Kenobi.
Ben Kenobi, where is he?
Come on.
And so, Luke takes on the mantle of the hero and fully embraces it, being the knight in shining white armor ready to rescue the princess from peril in the dungeon of the evil castle. It's in this moment that we truly feel as the audience the hero of 1,000 faces take form, as we all can see ourselves in Luke as he finally lives his dream of achieving greater purpose, selflessly helping others in this classic tale of good versus evil. When the team regroups out in the hall, Han and Leia immediately begin to bicker and build tension. Luke maintains focus on the mission and tries to find a way out. Without even realizing it, he's bestowed the role of the leader in this group of extremely strong personalities, something that would be critical to their survival.
What the hell are you doing?
Somebody has to save our skins. Into the garbage, you flyboy!
Wonderful girl. I'm gonna kill her or I'm beginning to like her.
Luke now has to deal with not only the Empire on their tail at every turn, but the team that they have from imploding on itself, and the newly assembled team would get a crash course on its viability in the trash compactor. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I had a ton of fun making this video, so if you enjoyed it too, then I highly suggest liking the video, and if you want to see more like it, then definitely hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified when part 2 comes out, then hit the bell for notifications, or consider checking out my Patreon, where I'll be uploading videos there significantly sooner than on YouTube. So part 2 should be available there as I speak, and the same will apply to the next parts when they come out. And on that note, I want to give a shout out to my patrons. Your support means everything to me. And finally, let me know in the comments which Star Wars character is the greatest hero and why. And who knows, they might be in the next one. Until next time, I'll be at the Tashi station picking up some power converters.